Hey guys, it's Adam. I hope you're doing fantastic. Welcome to Do You Watch Anime, a show where I sit down with a guest every week and ask them, do you watch anime? And we go from there. And today joining me is voice actor in such anime as Gachiakuta, Haikyu, Blue Lock, Attack on Titan, and so much more. Bryson Baugus, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I've just been working and prepping for the cold weather coming our way this weekend, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. Tomorrow, I think it's supposed to hit negative 50 Celsius here.
Yipes.
Yeah, which I'm like, thank God I'm off.
Yeah.
So, do you watch anime?
Yeah. I like to watch some anime here and
Yeah,
there. I watch a few shows.
Yeah.
I feel like I used to watch a lot more when I was like preteen going into high school, but now and then I'll check out a good show every now and then whenever it comes out, catches my eye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was your first introduction to like watching anime?
So it was before I even knew what anime was with the classics just from like the 90s. I watched a lot of Pokemon growing up, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon. I was always more of a Digimon kid than a Pokemon kid. Don't tell the Pokemon people. I just thought the designs were really cool. And then Yu-Gi-Oh was super hype. And then I found out when I was about 11 or 12, a friend came over and he had one of those like old Katie Coop how to draw manga books. And I was like, oh, this is like a specific thing. And then I started seeking out some more like animes. My local library had a bunch of manga for like Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, one of my first manga that I read. They had Prince of Tennis. We read through that, a lot of that. My brothers ended up playing a lot of tennis, probably because of that manga. And as for like anime specifically, we started buying individual DVDs at Best Buy from like classics like Full Metal Alchemist 2003 before Brotherhood even existed. Death Note, like just a bunch of like aughts classics and a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I had growing up I had the DVDs of Dragon Ball Z where they all made like a scene and
Like
I
a
was
big,
like, yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I get them all." And my mom's like, "Just calm down."
Nah, what was it? We had to buy individual DVD. Like for Death Note specifically, we bought individual DVDs that all only had like 4 episodes each. And like kids have it so much easier today. These kids, even like they've got the streaming where they only have to pay a certain amount a month. And then like most Blu-rays and most DVDs that come out, they're at least like a 12 episode full season or like half of a season of like a full 24 episode series. And those used to be we'd have to spend like $20 for 4 episodes and slowly accumulate from there. But it didn't make a spread image with the spines like the Dragon Ball Z that you mentioned. But each individual DVD came with its own like small poster. One of the things that bugged us is one of the DVDs we got for Death Note was a misprint and it came with the wrong poster. So we had 2 copies of one of the posters and there was just like a gap because we were putting them up on the wall. And there's just a gap where the poster that was supposed to be with that one was.
Yeah, I specifically remember like when I was first getting into Pokemon. We went to the library and I rented a VHS of Pokemon and it had Bye Bye Butterfree. It had the one where he meets Charmander, and I was like, they just made a greatest hits of Depression.
That's another thing that the kids these days are spoiled about is back in the day the VHSs and the DVDs like Death Note, Full Metal, those came in sequential order. But a lot of like the ones that were treated like kids cartoons like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff, they didn't release them in sequential order. They just were like, here's a collection of episodes that we randomly decided are somehow related in some way.
Literally. And like even on Canadian TV, so the way this channel would work was they would have a new episode of say One Piece and I'm like, oh my God, I love it. And then they'd throw the most random episode of One Piece on as well next to it. And I'm like, what is going on? what is happening?
This isn't SpongeBob. There's story here. We need more. One flows into the other.
Oh my god, exactly. So, what are some of your favorite anime?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those, the ones that I mentioned already, Death Note was a huge one for me. I have more of a soft spot for 03 FMA than Brotherhood, actually.
Wow.
I have come to admit that Brotherhood is the better show. It's better paced, and it sticks to the manga a little bit more closely, the original vision. But I just have so much nostalgia for that original show, the original movie that came along with it as well. I loved Digimon growing up. I love also Mega Man, NT Warrior.
Okay,
those ones were great. Some of my more recent favorites though have been like, unironically, Gachiakuta is like one that I really enjoyed. I would love that show even if I wasn't a part of it. Run with the Wind, one that I'm not a part of, was a sports anime. Also done by the same studio that made Haikyu, but it's college age students, so they're adults dealing with adult problems, and I find that a little bit more relatable as an adult myself than a lot of high school stuff tends to be. And it's one of those shows that it'll surprise you. You don't expect to be crying by the end of it, but by the end of it, you're crying at least once an episode. And then what's a few others that I've been watching that I really liked? Me and my wife have been watching JJK. She really wanted to check that one out because of Meg Thee Stallion, and she's a huge fan. And I was like, okay, we can watch this, and it was really good. We watched the first 2 seasons, and we watched it dubbed to support the industry. But also she tends to prefer. She doesn't watch a ton of anime, but when we do, she tends to prefer watching it dubbed. And so we're probably going to wait until like a few episodes of the dub comes out for season 3 at least. And those are some ones that I really enjoyed. Yeah.
And so what's an anime that when you recommend it to people, you have to be like, I swear it's good?
Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? The title, I say this every time people talk to me about it, and I feel like the light novel word salad titles really holds back a lot of good shows out there, because like it's just like SEO word vomit. But like when you actually get into the meat and potatoes of some of them, a lot of them are about as bargain bin as they sound. But like Danmachi in particular, which is what we call it for short, it's actually a really good show about the growth of the main character Belle. And it has the kind of title that makes you feel like it's just going to be like super overt, ecchi, like just harem fan service bonanza for the entire show. And there's a little bit of fan service in the show, but like I would say it's comparable to, people have said even like SAO has more than Danmachi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because with that question, it's either like the most like ecchi sounding anime, or it's like the most deep, like it always makes me
okay, hear me out.
Yeah. Like mine is like Uzuki-chan Wants to Hang Out, and
and I heard of that one.
I have to be like, just, you have to get over the jiggle physics, and it's a really cute story. I swear to God, just
a wholesome rom-com.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
So what's a show that you could watch over and over and over and over again and not get sick of?
Honestly, probably Death Note. I feel like it's short enough that it's easy to do a bunch of rewatches and find a bunch of small details. And it's also really easy. It's also really easy to show friends that aren't huge anime fans. I have a friend that like, he's liked a handful of anime. He's liked enough anime that I would say, like, dude, you're an anime fan. It's just, but he when I first introduced him to Death Note, he was very much like, man, I don't like anime. It's too like over the top and like zany and crazy. And I'm like, you just haven't found the right ones for you. Because anime has the right shows for everybody. But it's funny because then he ended up loving like JoJo. And I'm like, dude, you like anime.
That's the most campiest, like.
Exactly. I think he just doesn't like a lot of the fan servicey stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I understand like that's a bit of a deterrent for a lot of more casual anime fans or even people who dislike anime. They all think it kind of falls into that sort of ecchi fan service all over the place bubble, but like there's good stuff out there for anybody who's open-minded enough to check stuff out. But like bringing it back to the actual question you asked, I feel like Death Note's one of those that like I always have a good time watching, and showing it to people that are just kind of dipping their toes into the anime realm.
Yeah, 100%. It's usually my go-to for like, oh, I want to get into anime, and I was like, here's Death Note. Here's goodness, you know. Oh,
it's just a good thriller story that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching it for the first time because I watched it in like college because I was just getting back into anime at that point, and I was like, holy shit, this is not like the anime I grew up on. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Like,
it's mind games.
Yeah. Oh my God, what's going to happen? So you voiced Rudo in Gachiakuta.
Yes.
What was your reaction to being cast?
I freaked out. I think we talked about this a little bit in the Gachiakuta group panel that you should go watch.
Yes.
If you're watching this right now.
Yep.
And I was at a convention. I was in Boston for a convention, and I was literally talking to my wife about like, I just auditioned for this thing that like looks like a really big deal. Like everyone's going to be wanting to be a part of this one. And it looks really cool. And just the story's amazing and the artwork's amazing. And then like a couple hours after I was talking to her about that, I got the email and I was like, I'm going to go, because I was at my table, like waiting for people to come up to get like signatures and pictures and stuff like that. Luckily it was in like a bit of like a downtime for like lunch or something. So I was like, I'm going to go sit back there for a little while I calm down because I had to keep my composure. But yeah, I was definitely in a public place trying not to freak out more than I already was.
Oh my God. So how was that announcement day for you? Because that was insane. Like last year, like.
No, it was awesome. I remember the trailer dropped and they had the cast list come out, and it was really fun to see just like the positive reception of it. Like, I don't know. It was super cool to see so many fans who either heard me and were surprised that it was me, because I don't typically play like grungy, angsty boys like Rudo. And it was also kind of funny to see some of the people who heard it and weren't familiar with my stuff, and so they guessed the wrong names or something. I mentioned some people were like, "Oh, that's Bryce Papenbrook" or something like that. Yeah, and I was like, "Nah, that's not it." But actually, and I forgot to mention this in the group panel, it was so cool to see both the creators of the manga follow the entire like English cast. Yeah, like I've never seen that happen before. Where and honestly, and like shout outs to Kei Urana and Hideyoshi Ando, who are the creators of the manga. They're very active with their fan base. They're very active in public on social media and stuff like that. And I've never seen that with any manga creator ever. Yeah. Usually a lot of them tend to try and stay anonymous, or at least like keep their personal life or keep to themselves privately. But the fact that they were so open and out there, and then not only helping push the anime, but also helping push specifically the English dub. I remember Kei Urana tweeted like, "It even sounds really good in the English" or something. And then I liked it. And then they followed me and I was like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. No, I love them as creators, and it was so cool to see that level of support from the people who like made the story that we're working on. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was funny. 8 minutes, like literally like 10 minutes before the live stream, Ezra texted me being like, "Look who just followed me," and then like, I was like, "Did you shit yourself?" Because I would. She's like, "Yes, I did." And then like 2 days after the live stream, they followed Aiden as well. And he's like, "That's all because the live stream." And I was like, "Don't say that." That means they watched clips. That's but yeah, it's crazy.
So they've seen your
but it's crazy how, like, again, like you said, typically mangakas don't show their face at all. Like they have a mask on, which like I get it. I totally do. But like just having them be like in interviews with the Crunchyroll podcast, that was my first like introduction to them. I was like, oh my God, they're so cool. I just want to be as cool as they are. Oh my God.
And then like an extension of the announcement weekend what was really cool was I was scheduled to already go to Anime Expo for like I had a signing slot already before I even booked any of this. So like it just so happens that I was able to go to LA for my first time to do AX. And they just happened to be like pushing gachi everywhere. There was like 3 different areas. There was like the Kodansha booth, the Crunchyroll booth, and then they had like an installation at like the very front entrance with like the giant like trash sculpture of like Rudo pointing with his gloves made out of trash. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And both Kei Urana and Hideyoshi Ando were there, and they were at the premiere for the sub version of the show, and luckily we were able to get put in contact with people at Crunchyroll who got us like backstage after the premiere to go say hi, and like they both signed like my Corey Wilder, Zeno Robinson, and James Cheek's manga, and like it was so like that. I got it right there on my shelf, like that they signed for me, and it was so like really cool to just see them in person and be able to just say hi and thank them for the work that they did. And they were just so chill. They were it was so cool how chill they were.
Oh my god, yeah. Even during the interview, I was like, they're just so cool. I just want to be that cool, man. God damn. Yeah. So how did you approach voicing Rudo from an acting perspective?
Yeah. So for me, I feel like I tend to come at a lot of newer roles, especially ones that I don't play very often. My first instinct is to figure out technically what I want to do with my voice for it. So for Rudo, I know that he's been in the slums. He's down on the ground, and so he's constantly been in very downtrodden situations, and so like he's got a little bit of that rasp to him that I try to like incorporate because he's been surrounded by like this dust and debris, and it's probably done a little bit of work on the vocal cords that he's got down there. And whenever he's not like lashing out and angry, I feel like he's generally a pretty quiet boy. I feel like he's been conditioned through years and years of like just being rejected by those that like he's learned that like, man, whatever I say, people aren't going to listen to it anyway. So like, I might as well just not even. If they want to hear what I have to say, they got to come to me or something. Unless he's like angry and then he's shouting and screaming all the time. But I feel like those are his 2 dynamics, is that like whenever he's more casual, he's just very like to himself, and you really got to listen for what he has to say. On the emotional side of things, it's very similar as well. He's got very wide swings. He's got those moments where he's just really angry, full of that rage that really defines a lot of his heavier scenes. But he's also just got like this softness to him, and I feel like he's constantly looking for that family that he didn't have growing up outside of Regto and Chiwa, and once those only family members of him have been ripped away from him, like I feel like there's a part of him that wants to, aside from getting revenge on the sphere that took it away from him, I think he's also still trying within the cleaners to find that family again, if that makes sense. And there's even elements of the cleaners as his family that I feel like he didn't get to experience as just him and Regto or him and Chiwa as well.
Yeah. Oh my god. One of my favorite scenes in the whole show is when he discovers sweets. Because it's like genuine happiness, and I was like, oh, my sweet baby boy.
Just let him be this and be happy. I love that in the final episode of the season, it's just him hanging out with Remlin and Deer and Gita, and they're just being kids out in the city. It's so cute.
Yeah, and like just when they're coloring and like drawing, I was like,
that was literally me when I was like 8 years old. I was just on the table stealing printer paper from my parents or my grandparents or whatever. We were just drawing the whole day.
Oh my god. I was like, oh, this is so sweet. Oh my god. Oh, so what is your favorite part about the series in general?
I just love the artwork and the music. Like I feel like my favorite thing about it is that it doesn't just it feels like a celebration of all different types of art. It's not just character design, it's not just music, it's also like fashion, it's also graffiti, it's all different aspects of art that come together to this one huge just like flavor blast of all different types of art. In terms of the story, I love how layered it is. I love that it's not just your typical battle shonen where it's a tournament arc or just like fight after fight with like a little bit of what's it fluff to get to the next fight. Like there's some shonens I've watched growing up. It feels like the fights were like the big event, and then anything in between was just kind of a vehicle to get to the next fight. Whereas here it feels like there's an expansive world that's been thought about way ahead of time. It feels like there's so many mysteries that is established early on that like that like Urana Sensei has like already has a vision for where they want the story to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I don't know, I feel like those little nuggets give you the insight that like, oh, there's more to this than just the bare the surf, not bare bones, the surface level, like, oh, it looks cool and the fights are cool and all that stuff. Like there's some substance to it for sure.
And like I love the mystery aspect to it as well. Like just like the different, like they'll give you a little taste of something, and then where is it? We're gonna focus on something else, and then bring it back. And I'm like, oh, that's so good, so good. So you also play Hinata in Haikyu. What's been your favorite part about voicing him? That little ray of sunshine.
It's honestly really just that. I feel like any chance I get to be in the booth as Hinata is a fun time. Yeah. He's just such a hyper ball of energy, and he's so positive all the time. Like he's got his negative moments, but I feel like he always turns it around in the end, and he's never down for too long. At least not in the show and not in the movie that's come out so far. But he's very much like when he hits obstacles, his instinct isn't to give up. His instinct is to say, okay, how can I overcome this? And he's kind of got a little bit of Goku in him where he's like, I want to fight the best teams. Yeah. Because I think there's a part in season 4 where they were like talking about the different team brackets and like what would help them to like make it farthest, like which teams we want the best matchups and stuff. And he's like, well, I just want to play the best teams, of course. I just want to play all the best teams all the way up.
Hi, I'm Steve Yurko.
And I'm Tara Sands. Now available from Maji Media is our new podcast, 4Kids Flashback. 4Kids is the company who brought you the English dub of Pokemon in the late 90s and so many other shows like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Shaman King, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kirby, the infamous One Piece dub, and so many more.
We'll be talking to the people who worked at 4Kids. Actors, directors, writers, editors, producers, engineers, you get the point. And hopefully get the answers to questions both you and I have about the company.
I actually worked there as a voice actor on some of the shows.
And I was a kid watching the shows and remember way more than Tara does.
And thank God for that. Steve is actually a professional storyboard artist, which gives some really unique insights into anime and animation. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts. That's the number 4 Kids Flashback.
Hey guys, welcome to the Patreon portion of today's episode. And if you want to join the Patreon, there are a few different tiers, like shoutouts on the episodes, as well as exclusive videos and behind-the-scenes content, and so much more, and even the episode a day early. Thank you to Gio, Keith, Blythe, Bunny, Mikey, Sheba, and Brooke. And if you want to join the Patreon or find out more, the link will be down below. And yeah, back to the episode. Oh my god, yeah. So, what was your first impressions when you started voicing him?
I honestly went into it not having seen it yet, but when I auditioned for it, I hadn't seen it, but I was familiar with it being like a relatively popular thing because I was still going to college at the time when I booked it. Yeah, I started booking stuff in 2015, like right before I had transferred to university. So I was doing anime throughout like university. I did like junior college before. But I had seen like some classmates of mine like watching it on their laptops or something during lunches and stuff because the sub came out first for like a couple years. So I knew going into it that it would be like a big show, and so I wanted to go back and watch it after the audition before the first session, and I was like, this is like an emotional roller coaster. It's like a lot more it's a lot more impactful than you would expect it to be with like just the description of, oh, it's a volleyball show about high school boys hanging out and having a good time. But like it's got some moments that'll kind of like Run with the Wind I mentioned earlier. It's just got those moments that'll really like tug at your heart and make you feel for these boys and want them to just achieve everything. When it came to playing Hinata, I feel like I got the gist of his character right off the bat. I was just kind of like, yeah, he's a little hyper guy. When it comes to interacting with like Kageyama or Tsukishima, he's a little stinker. Yep. I like when he's a little stinker to some people too.
Yeah. When he's sarcastic and stuff, I'm like, thank you. Oh my god, so good.
Yeah. I liked that he's done like a few impressions of a handful of characters, and those are always a fun way for me to pull off my best Scott Gibbs impression or my best Joe Daniels or something.
Yeah. So good. So how has it been like voicing Hinata, knowing that Haikyu has like, it's so popular and like it's, inspired so many people?
I love it. I've been to a good amount of conventions over the past few years at this point, and almost it started off as a few, but now I feel like it is almost every guest every attendee that comes up to my table that loves Haikyu stated they either used to play volleyball and they checked the show out because of that, or they started playing volleyball because of the show. Like, it's one of those two things. And I feel like it's at least like 80 to 90% of people that I see nowadays that like, it's just one of those shows that really gets you wanting to play volleyball or if not even volleyball, at least some kind of sport, or like it makes you feel like exercising or something like that. And I can see why it portrays the sport in such a very realistic way that doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just doing like superpower. Like, I remember I mentioned we used to read the Prince of Tennis manga before high school. I never saw the anime because we didn't have cable growing up, and it only aired on like Cartoon Network and stuff.
Right.
And when I eventually got to be a part of the Prince of Tennis dub a few years ago, that we did like a redub of the show, I never realized just how anime it is. It's very much like, here's my superpower move that's like literally impossible in the real world. But stuff like Haikyu, it has moments like where it's like, could he really jump that high in real life?
Yeah.
But like on certain jumps. But like for the most part, it's relatively very realistic. It just kind of heightens the action to a way that gets you just really pumped for volleyball.
Yeah. Like one of my friends literally picked up volleyball because she watched Haikyu. Like literally, exactly. I'm like, damn, okay, I damn. Because like even before I watched it, I was like, I don't know anything about volleyball. I don't really care. And then I watched it, and I was like, I love this team so much.
And I feel like it doesn't. Here's another thing that I love about it is I feel like you just kind of naturally learn how the game plays as you watch it.
Yeah.
I've seen some sports animes that didn't blow up as much, where it feels like they kind of front load a lot of the jargon and trying to, as quick as possible, give you the rundown of how the game runs or how the game works. It tries to front load all of the different rules and all the different little exceptions and stuff. Whereas I feel like the way that they pace the show and teaching the audience how volleyball works, it's a little bit more natural. They kind of just sort of explain things as they encounter it in an actual game, as opposed to trying to be like, okay, and in this situation, this is what blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not as like there's exposition to it, but it's not as dumpy. It's not as like, here's a wall of text explaining how volleyball works or something like that. If you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Like, it's 100%. That's why I think that's why it like caught on so well, because it's easily digestible.
Exactly.
Because when you think about it, volleyball is pretty like convoluted. Like,
there's a lot of very specific work. There's a lot of very specific rules that like it's hard to follow if you're not as familiar with the game. And then like also just like aside from the sport itself being presented in such a well-paced way, I think another reason it was so successful is that it also just has a wide cast of characters that are all fully fleshed out and not just like it's not the main two characters and then everybody else is an afterthought. It feels like every character on every team has been thought through to the point where it's like they could be the main character of their own show if they wanted to do it. They've done that with a few OVAs. Like there have been an OVA where it focused on Nekoma. The movie really focused more on Nekoma's side of the Nekoma's perspective. I was trying to think of the word. And then they're also doing that. They haven't announced a release date or anything like that, but they mentioned that they're doing like a spin-off series about the Fukurodani match at Nationals and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like the fact that they can even do that in the first place, I think it goes to show just how well written these characters are and how relatable they are to so many different fans.
Yeah. And so moving on to another sports anime you're in, kind of the opposite character of Hinata is Nagi in Blue Lock.
Yes.
How did you approach voicing him? Because he is a different like beast.
No, he's totally different energy from Hinata. I knew that going in that he was a little bit more just kind of like the lazy, like whatever. I'm effortlessly good at everything. I didn't even open the textbook, but I got an A on every test I took in high school or something like that. It's that kind of vibe. I think because I didn't audition for him and because of just the nature of how fast anime works on the nature of how fast anime records, we kind of were still kind of finding the role or like how he sounds with those first couple of episodes. And so when you first meet him, he's very like slouched over, very sleepy. They kind of draw his eyes a little bit bigger, so he looks a little bit younger than I think he ends up presenting overall. And so I if you go back and listen to the first couple appearances of him, you can kind of hear that I made him sound a little bit younger than he ended up sounding overall. And it really was just a matter of being like, oh no, he's not down here. He's not up here and whiny. He's just kind of more like down here and I don't really care. Blah, blah. It was finding that balance between, man, I don't want to do this, which is more of like a whiny kind of like annoying, like versus just kind of like, I'm too lazy to even whine about it. I don't even really see what the problem is, but I also just don't want to deal with it. And one thing that I loved about working on the movie that ended up coming out about a year and a half after the first season was that we got to redo some of those early instances and kind of come at it from the perspective that we ended up at by the end of season 1. And that's an opportunity that we don't normally get with a lot of these shows to kind of reevaluate that first impression moment and kind of come back at it because like I said, the way that we dub anime, it's so fast. And so you're always having to make a lot of very specific and strong choices early on. And sometimes those choices have to be calibrated a little bit over the course of a few sessions. And if your character doesn't really talk a lot for the first couple episodes that they're in, the calibration can take a little bit of time to kind of really lock in to where you want it to be in the end. But yeah, I loved working on it. And Jonathan Rigg, the ADR director for that show, has a very strong vision for that show, and I feel like we both were able to find where Nagi really sits, especially while working on the movie, because we got to spend so much time with not even just his main side of characterization, but a lot of the stuff from before the show as well.
How was working on the movie and getting to experience his backstory like that?
No, I loved it. I liked being able to see a little bit more of what he was like before the show. I feel like he's got his moments in the show where he cares. Like he actually starts to care about like doing well and not wanting to lose. And I feel like a lot of that drive that he attains, it kind of starts pushing him more towards the goal of like, oh yeah, I actually want to do better and try. I have a lot of fun with his more lazy stuff. I don't know. I enjoy a lot of his lazy stuff. Yeah. And so like the scenes of him with Reo at their high school before they go to Blue Lock and all that stuff, those were a lot of fun to do. There's one scene after they're done practicing and he's just kind of like laying on the floor and just acting like he's dead. Yeah. There's a moment where he's dragging him away and Nagi's just like, Nagi of the living dead. Yeah. And there was after that line, there wasn't anything in the original Japanese track, but Rigg was like, I want to try something, and like as they're dragging him off, just do like a little like zombie moan or something like that. So yeah, he's pulling him away, and you just hear him go, yeah, and then it hard cuts, and I love a good hard cut for comedic effect. It's great.
Yeah, so good. Yeah. What? Yeah, just again, I was like, when we first meet him, I was like, this guy's kind of an asshole. and then like I watched the movie and I was like, oh, I love him. I want
he's precious boy.
Yeah, I want the best for him.
Yeah.
And like, I still remember the shock of him switching sides.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, but you're meant to be together.
Yeah.
Oh,
I try to think of it as Nagi just seems to have like a little bit of like, and this is just my interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't speaking for the actual show or the actual character, but I feel like Nagi has a little bit of that tunnel vision that you sometimes get where like you're just one tracked and you're like, okay, I want to get better at soccer. If I want to get better at soccer, I have to play with this guy. Oh, he's already got like a third teammate. Okay, well, I'll just join them. It's fine. And like he didn't even stop to think about whether like Reo would be with him or something like like that can come off very like in a realistic sense. It can be very like, oh wow, that guy sucks. Like he's just gonna like leave his friend out to dry like that.
Yeah.
And like if you think of it in realistic terms, like yeah, that's not the most that's not the healthiest way to treat your friend. But I try to think of it like meta narratively and stuff like that, and I feel like characters like Nagi are the kind of characters that you see that just kind of like come at everything from like this weird objectiveness that has like a little bit of like humanity kind of pulled out of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. So as a gamer yourself, how did you relate most to Nagi in that scenario?
I very heavily. In the movie and even in the show, he's got moments where he's just like, I don't really want to do anything but play video games all day.
Yeah.
And like mood.
Yeah.
Like that's literally I've had like days after, like maybe I've had like some pretty heavy days where I was traveling a lot for conventions. I had to do a lot of recording or something like that. Sometimes I'll just be like, this is my day to literally sit on the couch and not move at all the entire day and just play, like zone out and play a game the entire day.
Yeah.
Maybe get up to get some lunch or dinner or something like that. And like, that's just my me day. And Nagi, I'm a little jealous. He seems to have a lot more me days than others.
Yep, 100%. I get that. So you also voice Falco in AOT. What was your reaction to being cast in Attack on Titan?
I was excited about that as well. Like literally, I was excited to do all of these. I feel like I get excited to work on any project, but like especially Titan was one of those shows that I watched.
We're good.
Oh, all good.
I'm just gonna die. It's fine.
Nah, I drink water wrong all the time too. I feel you.
Oh, God. Yep. Sorry. Oh, I'm crying. All right.
As for getting cast as Falco in the show, I watched the first season when it came out, like post high school. I think it came out 2013, which was like a year after I graduated high school. Because all my friends were talking about it, and I was like, oh, let me check this out. And it was so hype. I loved it, and that was another one of those shows that even my friends that didn't like anime were like, oh, this is really, really good. And then it took forever for season 2 to come out, and I kind of fell off of it because I started working and going to school and going to college, and I started even booking anime as well. And so it became really hard to watch and keep up with a lot of different shows at the time. So by the time season 4 came around in 2020, the end of 2020 going into 2021, I still hadn't caught up. I hadn't gone back and binged it all. And so when they cast me, they were like, hey, we need you for a couple of hours for Titan. And they didn't put a name of the character or anything like that. So I just kind of assumed I was just going to do like a small, because 2 hours is a significant amount for like a single episode.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so he's going to talk a good bit, but he might not be that important. He might be like an episodic, like character of the week that shows up and dies at the end or something like that. So that's what I was going in expecting. But then a few friends of mine who were a little bit more well-versed that work in the industry, and they saw my name on the schedule, they were like, no, I'm pretty sure you're going to be like an important character because there's like a lot of new characters this season. I was like, oh, really? So I looked up like which characters are introduced in the final season. I was like, okay, maybe be this guy, maybe this guy. And one was Falco, and then the other was like a couple of other characters that I was like, oh, maybe it's a little bit of a stretch. So I lucked out that it was Falco, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like an actually like important character.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to be able to join that world. And then Mike was amazing to work with, Mike McFarland, who also plays Jean in the show, which is he has got one of my favorite character arcs in the whole series.
Same here.
He was very much like, hey, have you seen the show? And I was like, I've seen the first season. I need to do a lot of catching up. And he was like, yeah, you need to, there's a lot that's happened. And so he was very good about, because I told him that I did want to go back and rewatch the rest of the show, because it was another one of those shows that my wife actually wanted to check out too. And so he gave me as much information as I needed to do those first few episodes as Falco, while I had time to like catch everything up and all that stuff. So it was really cool to be able to work with him. And then eventually, once I did catch up, it became okay, now I'm watching these episodes as they come out in sub. So I'm like ready before this session. So like I already know what's happening story wise. And then when working with Mike, we can just work on finding those like small nuances and aspects of his character from moment to moment, so that it's not quite as him needing to explain so much, and we can just spend more of that time just fine-tuning takes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And like Falco like was made such an impact in the final arc. I'm going to call it arc because there were so many parts.
Because like final season, part 2, part 3 movies.
Yeah. Like, so what were some of your favorite scenes to record as Falco?
I liked the moment when Aaron, like, spoilers for people who put a timestamp up, I guess. I don't know. It's been a few years. When Aaron reveals who he is and who I've been talking with this whole time, partly because I hadn't caught up to the series yet.
Okay.
And so Aaron looks so much different in that moment than he does for the rest of the whole show. So I didn't know who he was. I thought he was just some veteran guy or whatever that we'd been like meeting up with. And then I saw that episode and I was like, oh, wow, this is like Aaron. I've been talking to Aaron this whole time. I didn't even know. So that was really fun. It wasn't revealed to me in the moment in the booth, but like, I think I had like seen the episode ahead of time. Because I was kind of like concurrently watching the new episodes and the old episodes. And no, that one was fun. I love any like those emotional moments when Falco is just kind of like, what's going on? Like very like shaky, just dramatic. And that's what I love about Attack on Titan above in comparison to a lot of other shows, is that it's dramatic in a way that's a little bit more just like reserved. And so it's fun to be able to find that balance of like, this is serious business, but also we're still got to be a little bit quiet.
Yeah, I think Aaron and Reiner's thing with Falco in the room is one of my favorite scenes in all of anime. Like, oh my god! Like because I binged the 3 seasons during COVID. I was like, oh my god, I'm so ready for season 4, and then the tonal shift between the seasons, I'm like, oh god, everything is terrible. Like, oh my god,
it's so bad. And then another scene that I really loved, I love all the sad scenes, was when Falco's trying to get Colt to like go away, and Colt's trying to hold him back and convince Zeke not to scream and change everybody that's about to Titan bomb the whole city. And like, just it's not necessarily my particular performance that I liked about that scene. I just like that scene in general. Like, just getting to be a part of that scene was so amazing. And like, just like Zeke's like hesitation and like seeing in Colt and Falco himself and like his brother and all that stuff. Like, it's just such an impactful moment and stuff like that. And like, just to have been a part of that scene at all was like was amazing, because that's probably another one of my favorite scenes in the whole series.
100%. So how did you originally get into acting in general?
I was always an annoying kid who liked to be loud and seek attention. That I'm pretty sure a lot of actors will tell you that. But basically, I used to do a lot of just like school plays or like stuff like that. And then whenever I got into high school, I started doing a lot of theater, doing high school stuff. But I found out that voiceover was something that you can also do as an actor back when I was like 13, 14. So when I was 14, I started also, in addition to theater and live stage performance, was looking for any resources I could find online. I found like old forums. There was an old place called Voice Acting Alliance that isn't around anymore. But then there's also Voice Acting Club, which I also used, and that is still around for anybody out there who's listening. Take notes. Voice Acting Club and a bunch of those, and I would just do high school theater while also doing what I consider to be basically community theater, but for voiceover, by doing just like fan projects, like indie animations, fan animations, and stuff like that. Web comic like dubs and stuff like that. All throughout high school and early college. And then eventually I was doing enough of that I gained the experience to, I guess, be good enough that when I did a theater audition in Houston, one of the directors from Sentai at the time saw me, and they were like, okay, sounds like he like is good enough that we can like throw a few extra voices at him and stuff like that. And so I did my first session in 2015 when I was like 20, just about to turn 21 or so. And so 6 years of just practicing on an amateur level and doing as much as I could in the educational space as well. It eventually worked out.
Yeah. So what was it about voice acting that drew you to it?
I love cartoons, video games, and anime as well. I would hear their performances and be like, man, I want to do that. Yeah. It's really cool. I used to draw a lot more than I used to draw a lot more than I do now. Once I started pursuing acting, I kind of like let a lot of the art improvement fall to the wayside. But I used to want to make cartoons. I used to want to make video games. Like I just liked cartoons and anime. I've always loved animation in general. But I found out that I didn't really have the patience to make my own cartoons or my own full comics and stuff. So I started pursuing the acting side of things, and I felt like a lot of that felt more like immediately satisfying to be able to express yourself in that way and be able to be a part of something without having to draw for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Which the past couple of years I've been trying to improve my drawing a little bit again. But mostly just illustrations here and there. I don't know if I would ever go down the line of like making full animations or like comics and stuff, because that's a lot.
Yeah. Whenever I have like artist friends who are like, I'm making this, and I was like, damn, I could never. Oh my God. So
yeah.
How has your relationship with anime changed since becoming or getting into the industry? Sorry.
I think, excuse me. I think this happens with anybody, even like fans or industry person alike, is that when you're exposed to a certain medium for such a long time, you start to identify a lot of like tropes and like recurring themes and recurring story beats and recurring character types and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like after like almost 2 decades at this point of watching anime, I feel like nowadays it takes a little bit more extra mile for a show to catch my attention than it used to. When I was like a preteen or early teenager, I would literally read whatever was on the shelf at my library. Like I didn't care. I didn't have taste. I would literally just read everything. I couldn't tell what was good, what was bad, what was like just kind of copy paste, what was that, all of that. And so I feel like just naturally, and it's the same with on the fan side, I would imagine as well, just like naturally finding things that you like about certain types of shows and trying to find that in other shows. Like I've recently been rewatching One Piece and trying to catch up to that huge mountain, because I never really got super far. And so I'm just making my way through it. I'm at Skypiea now.
Okay.
And what I love about that show is just like, I love how unique the art style is. I love how like adventurous it feels, and like the characters all just are so much fun. And it doesn't feel as anime tropey as a lot of stuff tends to be. It feels very like its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I tend to what's the word? I tend not to gravitate towards ones that feel like, oh, I've already seen this. This is just like high school romantic comedy 23. It's all the same characters, they just have different names. This is My Life in an Isekai World number 723.
Yeah.
And I try to, I guess, short story long. I've become a little bit more discerning as to what I'll give my time to when it comes to watching a show as a fan. I will say also, just generally watching dubs and watching anime in general, as somebody who works in the industry, it's hard to turn off the working brain. So sometimes I'll wait until a show is finished and then watch it a much later, so that I'm not worried about being like, man, I really hope I get to be a part of this, or like, or I really hope that I get to play this one character because it was cast forever ago, and I can separate myself from that, if that makes sense. So I guess in that way, I also tend not to watch the hip new stuff that's about to come out.
Mm-hmm.
That way I don't like get too attached.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that happen to so many of my peers, where they'll be so attached to what's coming and what's new and what's about to happen that they get really attached to certain characters and even if they get the chance to audition for them, if they don't book them, especially if they had the chance to audition for it, it can be really hurtful to them. And like, I don't get the mental space for that. It's almost kind of like a mental health like barricade where I'm just kind of like, I'm just gonna audition for things. Maybe I'll do a little bit of research. Like that happened with Gachiakuta. Like I was familiar with it. I knew that people were hyping it up, and I checked out the first few chapters and I read it and I was like, this is really, really cool. I'm going to use the info that I'm getting from these first few chapters to inform my audition. But I held off from reading like the whole thing right away because I didn't want to get too attached to it, because I was like, if this falls out or like I don't get this character, maybe there's another character for me further down the line or something.
Yeah.
I'll worry about it then. But once I got cast, and it was like, I immediately was like, I'm diving in here. I'm going to read the whole thing. And I'm fully caught up on the manga. But like, if it's something that I'm not yet in, I guess just as a mental safety net, I try not to get too engrossed in something new that I technically have the potential to be a part of, but then like if it doesn't work out, I might be a little bit disappointed. I don't know. It's just how I do things.
No, that's totally valid. And like, it's been so long since I've watched an anime where I'm not like supporting a friend or, you know, like, oh, they're in this, I better check it out. I think I picked up Campfire Cooking in Another World.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is so nice, and I can relax. And like, I barely know anyone in this show. This is just, you know, a chill, you know, I'm just watching. I'm not watching it for, you know, any interview or anything. I'm just watching it for fun. It's lovely. Oh yeah.
and I feel like there's probably some actors out there that can like fully separate, put up a complete wall between I'm watching this as a fan, I'm watching this as somebody who could potentially work on this when it comes out. I don't think I know very many people like that, but there's probably some people that can watch a show and completely put up that wall of like, no, I'm just watching this to enjoy it. If I get to work on it, cool. But like, even myself, like I feel like there's still going to be like, and maybe not to the extreme that I've seen with some other fellow actors or something like that. Like, I can still feel like a little bit of inkling, like, oh, maybe I'll be good for this guy, or maybe like just like slowly looking in the cast for like characters that I could play or something like that. And like, I feel like I've built up a good shell, a mental shell whenever stuff like that happens, because I do understand that this industry has so many people vying for so few parts that like I don't know, that's just how I go about it.
No, 100%, and that's so valid. So what has been like the hardest lesson you've learned since becoming a voice actor?
Hardest lesson, I think it's something that a lot of actors struggle with, and I think I've come around to fully like embracing the mentality that if you didn't book a role, if you didn't book something, it's rarely about you.
Yeah.
Because there is, like I just said, like before, there are hundreds of people that want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Any given role, especially if it's like the lead role of a show at a major studio, like they're going to be sorting through hundreds and hundreds of auditions. They're looking for one person. And among those hundreds of people auditioning, there's probably going to be at least like 50, 60 people that if they were cast, they could do the role well. And like, that's not to say that like the one person that ended up getting it is the perfect choice, that like only this person could do it. There's plenty of people in that, but at the end of the day, it is just one role, and they can only fit one person there. And so it took me a first couple of years to realize that like, hey, maybe you didn't book like I think a lot of amateur and early professional voice actors, they'll audition for things, maybe even hundreds of things, and then just somehow just happen to get the short straw and not book the majority of it, or maybe not even book any of it, and start to think like, hey, what am I doing wrong? And there's some truth to that. Maybe evaluate, maybe get some feedback from some peers and see like, hey, what can I do to improve my auditions that might stand out a little bit more? But at the end of the day, getting cast is not in your control as an actor. And that's one thing that I see, especially a lot of younger actors that like to do beginning of the year. It's January. A lot of beginning of the year manifestations of like, this year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I think manifestation can be very good, but I think you should. I think it's not you should do this. I'm in charge of you.
Yeah.
I think it's more helpful to manifest things that you have more control over. Cause like I remember seeing and I don't know any specific names. Like I couldn't name names if I wanted to, but I've just like seen generally some people be like, this year I'm going to book like a lead in a shonen, or I'm going to book a lead in a show, or like I'm going to book blah 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 blah. You can't control that.
Yeah.
You can control improving your auditions. You can control learning a new skill. You can control learning how to sing. If you want to take like singing lessons, you can learn new skills that can help improve your versatility as an actor. And you can improve in ways. I'm rambling a lot, but I think it's better to focus on the things that you control just in general. Putting yourself out there more, emailing more people, compiling some of your previous work, of taking the time to build up your portfolio and all of that stuff. I think that's a better use of your time than waiting around for somebody else to finally say, you're the guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So what's a moment in your career that made you realize, maybe it was at the beginning or it could be anywhere, that you were exactly where you want to be?
When I finally made the decision to go full-time into acting, and it's different for everybody what level of safety they wish that, or what level of safety they actually need before they can pursue this full-time.
Yeah.
I had been doing a survival job from 2015. When I first started professionally was 2015. I had a survival job until 2022. So 7 years of working professionally before I felt secure enough in that, like, I'm working enough. I'm doing conventions. I'm doing a lot of freelance production work. I have enough eggs in enough baskets to help me pay my bills. And so that's the level that I needed to be at personally. And I think that's when I was like, okay, I've made it. I can do this without needing a separate job to help me. And that's not even like, everyone defines success their own way. And that's one of the first goals that I set out for myself, is I want to do enough in the field that I want to work in, that I don't have to rely on some other job that I don't care about. And for some people, they enjoy having that separate job and that separation from the industry and all that stuff. And some people can't make ends meet without that. And I'm not judging those, or like saying those that still do have that extra job that, oh, they haven't made it as an actor yet or anything like that. That's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's situation is their own. But that was just my own personal like goal that I set for myself, is to just do well enough that I can go full-time self-employed. And I've been lucky enough that I haven't had to go back for 4 years now at this point. So I'm very happy with that. I'm very proud of that. But if it turns out like it ends up not working out or something like that, a few years down the line, I end up having to take another job, I'm not going to feel like ashamed or anything like that. I'm just going to be like, yeah, this is just the situation I'm in now. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So going to singing now. How did you where did your love of singing come from?
Honestly, it probably started most intensely when I would play Rock Band and Guitar Hero all the time.
Yeah, let's go.
Because when I first started pursuing voiceover, there was a lot of people. I was still 14.
Yeah.
I came into trying to learn how to sing around the same time I started learning how to do voiceover. Because I just really liked a lot of rock music and a lot of stuff that I would hear on Guitar Hero. And I'm like, I want to sing that. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And so I sucked really bad for a couple years, and then I focused really hard one summer to try and improve really good. That I need to learn to speak better. That's what I need to learn. There was one summer between my junior and senior year of high school where I had auditioned to join the choir for my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, no, it was my sophomore year going into my junior year.
Yeah.
I had auditioned in the end of my sophomore year to get into the choir at my school the following semester. And based on my audition, they put me in the junior varsity or something like that, which is basically like, it was the kids that could sing, but they weren't quite at the level where they could like sight read notes or maybe they had a little bit more limit on their range or something like that. They couldn't hold a note as strongly or as powerfully or anything like that. And over the course of that summer, I would like focus and do all this stuff. And I was like uploading song covers of like different songs and songs from different shows. And the choir director had seen that. And by the end of the summer, they were like, hey, can we move some of your schedule around so we can put you in the varsity choir? And I was like, okay, cool. And so it wasn't so much that they taught me how to sing better at the school. It was more like I was doing a lot of like self-taught improvement from like just like YouTube University, singing songs I enjoy, doing karaoke style covers of things, trying to figure out how to hold a pitch a little bit more, staying in key and stuff. I did still have to learn like how to read sheet music and all of that stuff as I went, but that was the kind of thing that they were a little bit more keen to be able to improve upon. And that was about like when I was like 14, 15. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed singing rock music and I decided I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I've never had any formal like one-on-one coaching or anything like that though. It's always been entirely like hearing a song I want to sing and just trying to analyze. I think one thing that I do think that I am good at is just hearing somebody talk. And I don't know if there's like a term for this, but I think I have like this like voice empathy where like I can hear them talk and I'm like, I can like imagine what their voice feels like when they say that.
Wow.
Like when they talk or when they sing, like I have like an impression in my brain about like I'm hearing how they're singing this. I can like kind of emulate the feeling in my brain. Like what might that feel like in their throat or in their voice when they're pulling off that note or that scream or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I can pull it off or anything, but I can like imagine what it feels like, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I wish I had that. So recently you covered Gachi's second opening.
I did, yeah. That blew up a lot bigger than I expected it to.
When I saw Maury Calliope actually like quote posted it, I was like, huh?
Yeah. And so I posted that as a celebration for the Dubs finale coming out. And it was the second post I made that day. In the main post about the episode, I had like tagged Keurana Hideyoshi Ando just to like thank them for the work that they did on the manga. But when I posted the cover, I was like, this is just like a fun thing. I don't know if they'll be like insulted by it if I tag them or anything like that, or if they just like they don't want to see this or something. So I didn't tag anybody, but I was kind of secretly hoping they would see it. So
yeah.
The fact that one of I think at the end of the day, Mori had a stream that they were doing. They were playing Alan Wake, which is an amazing amazing game. And I guess during that stream, somebody had told her that like I did the cover, and she was like, "Whoa, what?" And that was so cool. Just that I'm glad that was her first reaction, was like, "Whoa, that's so neat," as opposed to like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know. I've never. What was funny was I had mentioned that like Kei Urana and Hideyoshi Ando had followed me, but Mori never did or anything like that.
Yeah,
so like I'd never really had like any interaction with them on social media or anything. So I didn't know what to expect in terms of like what their reaction might be if they saw it. So the fact that they watched it, enjoyed it enough to actually like share it around to their fans and stuff was really cool. And then I saw Ando Sensei had seen it on my Instagram post, and because he follows me there as well, and he put it on his story, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh,
god damn!"
And that was so cool. And then after the newest chapter dropped this week, Urana liked it, and I was like, "Ah!" And then this morning, this morning, I got home, and the official like Gachiakuta PR Twitter had like liked it as well, and I was like, "This is going crazy," and I don't know what to do.
Oh my god,
so I had a lot of fun working on that. I had always done a lot of different covers of varying different genres, but I feel like that kind of like hard rock screamy stuff is where I got a lot of my start. I actually started trying to learn how to do like scream and harsh vocals and stuff before I started learning how to do like traditional singing. Because when I would first started learning how to sing, I was like, I suck at singing. I'm just gonna do screamy stuff. And now I don't think I'm that good at the screamy stuff, but like I can produce it to sound fine. So I'm trying to improve that for another project that I won't say. I'm trying to improve in that aspect of my abilities. I forgot where I was going with this, but that the outpouring of support for that has been way beyond what I ever expected it to. But
oh my god. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Of course. Where can the lovely people find you online?
I am literally everywhere as @Baugus Bryson, just last name, first name, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, I already said Instagram, Twitch. I've been trying to stream a little bit more. My official schedule is Monday through Wednesdays from like 5 to 8 Central. It's been a little inconsistent just because of work and like scheduling and stuff. But generally, if you follow me on either Twitter or Blue Sky, you'll see my announcements on there if I have to cancel for whatever reason.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All those links will be down below. You can follow me at Corky Cosplays on Instagram, Adam Corky everywhere else. Subscribe to the Patreon. You get episodes a day early, as well as...
Whoa, really?
Yeah. As well as exclusive videos and behind the scenes content. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.